Have you ever had a situation in your life where you thought the only way to fix this is to just start over, from scratch? Well, turns out that sometimes that can happen in customer experience.
But we also did a lot of understanding and analysis of the data that we had, both operational and VOC data, and what is our operational data indicating in terms of how they're experiencing the entire support journey. And this kind of formed the basis of really trying to look at how do we differentiate it.
Let's talk about building a differentiated experience from start to finish on this episode of the CX Leader Podcast.
The CX Leader Podcast is produced by Walker, an experience management firm that helps our clients accelerate their XM success. You can find out more at walkerinfo.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pat Gibbons, host of this episode of the CX Leader Podcast. And as always, thank you for listening. It's never been a better time to be a CX leader, and we explore topics and themes to help leaders like you develop great programs and deliver amazing experiences for your customers. Just like any other business process, customer experience programs can sometimes get a little stale or outdated. As CX leaders, it's our responsibility to pay attention to customer needs and expectations and adjust accordingly. But sometimes it's best to just take a step back and look at the entire customer journey and, if needed, redesign the journey from start to finish. And that's exactly what our guest helped to facilitate at her company. Jaya Sudarshan is a customer experience manager for HP, a global technology company. Jaya, thank you for being on the CX Leader Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Pat.
Well, we're excited. I mean, this is a fascinating topic, and I think you've had an interesting opportunity to really get involved in something and see the experience change. I mean, so many of us are involved in one piece of customer experience, whether it's collecting feedback or analyzing data or whatever. And I know you've done that, but this is kind of a different one that I think our listeners will enjoy hearing about. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in CX.
Right. I have been with HP, HPE, and back at HP now for over 20 years, and I've been a customer experience professional for about close to 15 years, and done different things from CX analytics to, VOC management. And currently I am the customer experience manager with the customer support team within HP. And I support the Greater Asia and India markets. And that's how I look at every day, what are the kind of support experiences and journeys that our customers are going through, and look at how do we really elevate that experience, right? And ensure that we're providing them the best, there is to offer in terms of how that journey works for them.
Yeah. And I know we have a number of listeners that are members of the CXPA. You happen to be on the board, correct?
Yes. I am part of the CXPA's board of directors, and I'm part of the executive committee this year as well. So I am the treasurer for CXPA's board for 2024.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you helping out. That the industry association is such an important part of our profession. So I always like to acknowledge anybody that is involved in any way in the CXPA.
Absolutely. A lot of what I have learned and, achieved over, my career as a CX professional as well, CXPace had a major contribution in that. So, thank you for acknowledging that. And, big shout out to everybody who I call my tribe, who are part of CXP and listening to this podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, getting to this episode, it sounds like last year you decided to kind of take on and design a new experience, or really update an experience. With HP, as I understand it, it was in the gaming market, which I don't know a ton about, but I know it's a big deal. I know it's an interesting demographic with interesting people that are probably pretty particular about what how they are using their hardware. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about kind of that market, but then how did you approach this issue, and when did you decide, hey, we need to make some changes?
Sure. So, yes, gaming is a big deal across the globe. And even in India, it is estimated to be about a market that is at the size of $7.5 billion, right, in the next
Yeah.
4 years. And if you really look at it, it's currently estimated to be about 3 billion, which means it's just going to more than double over the next couple of years. So, uh, it is a very unique market. And like you said, the kind of customer personas that we look at, that we serve, are very unique, are very defined, right? And their expectations, they very well know what is it that they're expecting, right? From it may be their hardware or the support that they expect. So this was a nice opportunity for us because every time somebody picks a PC, uh, or any electronics for that fact, I think how they get supported is a key factor that they consider while making that decision, right? A lot of people might never reach a customer support, hopefully, because their products work well. But in the unfortunate event that they do, if you really design that moment of truth well, it can be an opportunity for you to really convert that bad experience that they're having with their downtime into something that can convert them into a customer for life, right? So that's a big opportunity for us to look at how do we create those experiences that really keep our customers with us. So given all this background in terms of how important gaming was and how important the opportunity to create those memorable experiences were, uh, we started off with looking at it. Hey, there is this is a very unique market, or unique set of customers. We cannot serve them in the same way that we serve everybody else, right? So first, we need to really understand who our customers are, right? So we did a lot of primary and secondary research. It's a lot of competitive benchmarking and mystery shopping exercises to really understand what is the current customer journey, or what does it look like today, right?
Yeah.
That is something that we did outside, in the market. But we also did a lot of uh, understanding and analysis of the data that we had, both operational and VOC data, to understand, what are our customers talking in terms of their experience, and what is our operational data indicating in terms of how they're experiencing the entire support journey, from the time they call us for support all the way to getting them back up and running, right? And this kind of like formed the basis of really trying to look at how do we differentiate it, right? Because we do charge, most of our gaming products are priced higher because the performances are higher. So for somebody who pays more, should we be providing support that is a little more
Yeah.
than what we provide everyone else, right? So that those are some of the thought processes that got us to initiate this particular project, to think about, okay, how do we really differentiate and elevate that experience, especially from a support perspective.
Right. So lots of different inputs for, really understanding the customer and that demographic. How did you put all that together, and what feedback led you to we need to make some changes? Because you obviously could have gotten to a point where it's like, hey, everybody's happy, they're fine, let's just keep doing what we're doing. That wasn't the outcome, right?
That's right. So we did a couple of things, right? We did identify some customers who actually already had a support experience with us. We did empathy interviews to understand, what worked for them, a little bit more in depth in terms of what is an expectation, right? In terms of, hey, when you come to us, are you looking at speed of resolution? Do you want us to get you up and running in the first go, right? Like, I don't want you to visit me multiple times, right? I just want it to be one time and then up and running. Or is it, how well we keep you informed? So we didn't want to make assumptions in terms of what is important for our customers from a support perspective. So we did a lot of that. We also did a lot of internal interviews with people who are on the ground, who are delivering the support, because they are the people who face our customers. And there's a lot of wealth in terms of understanding how the customers perceive or how they what are the feedback that they get during the actual act of or process of repair. So, and also I remember somebody told this, right? When you think of a human centered design, or when you're planning something that is what we call human centered, right, you should think of all the humans that are involved, right? So sometimes we think we pay a lot of attention to what the customer wants, but we also wanted to, in this project, think about our support delivery or technicians who go and fix the product, right? Because in India, for gaming, our support model was what we call on-site, where we go and go to the customer's house or place
Sure.
to get the PC back up and running. So it was important for us to really understand what are the experiences that our technicians or field engineers were having as well. There were a few very interesting things that you would not pay too much attention to, right? For example,
Right.
technicians would tell us, hey, when we go to fix a PC, we most often, because of availability of space in Indian households, we might not be provided with a flat surface or a desk where we can actually do the repair, right? And for somebody who's handling a PC that is which is very delicate and needs to be handled in a particular way, that would be very a challenge, right? To not
Right.
have that
Sure.
surface and the right thing to do it. So that was from our technicians. At the same time, we also heard from our customers that uh, customers love their PCs, right? They put a lot of effort in picking the right one. They put and even, I mean, they just want to make sure that it's in the most pristine condition, right? And actually watching somebody, pulling that system apart to fix something was making them extremely anxious, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
they were not
You're
happy
messing
with
with
that.
my baby.
Absolutely, right. And when we did trainings, we used to compare this to like actually a doctor doing like in the operation theater, right? Because and that's kind of like how some perceive. They're extremely anxious in terms of how are you going to handle it, and the more they see it, yeah, and given that there's probably no space to do it the right way, you can imagine that there's a very anxious customer, there's a very anxious technician, right? And there your experience has started off not where you wanted to start off at
Right.
all, right? So
Yeah.
these are some of the small things, I mean, which appeared small, but we felt like these are things that we can really address to create an experience that is much more memorable and easy for both parties. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, first of all, I have to say, I love the idea of getting the internal feedback. So much of our work in customer experiences, we want to get insights from our customers. And I think too often we overlook the people internally in the contact center, the technicians in the field, because they know what's going on. They know the questions they get. They know the reactions from customers. So I think, first of all, I think that's just something that is too often overlooked. But then, once you started putting all this together, was there a way that you kind of analyzed all this to be able to say, okay, this is leading us to some changes to be made?
Absolutely right. And this is when, as a customer experience professional, I believe there are so many different hats and so many different things that you start using. For example, firstly, we developed what customer persona. What do we know about the customer? What are their expectations? How are they experiencing this whole support journey today, right? And then we looked at how do we put on our design thinking hats, right? So how do we look at, okay, for this particular kind of expectation, what is the best way to deliver this, right? And yeah, there could have been different things, but we had a spark, and we thought, why not do something what we call the support van? Okay, what was interesting was when that idea first came to us, there are a lot of people or different players out there who do what they call support on wheels, right? They go to the customer site and offer services, but we wanted to do something a little different and look at how can we incorporate all the rich feedback that we got, right, from the market, from our customers, from our internal, different stakeholders, right? And how do we bring all that together? And then we said, okay, so let's see, how can we really make this van something different and unique? And how can we apply everything that we've learned from a customer and customer experience standpoint to this? So if I could just talk about the solution that we thought of, right? So we decided that one thing we wanted to do is do the repair out of the customer site, right?
Okay.
So that customers are not anxious anymore. They know
Right.
that, there is a professional person who's taken over, and and we also worked a little bit upon the professionalism, the look and feel as well of the engineer, and just ensuring that, for example, they're carrying the right set of toolkits, right, in pristine condition. All this gives the customer confidence that yes, this person who's come to fix my dear laptop is completely understands what needs to be done, and he's a professional and he can do it. So that was one thing. So just ensuring that the repair is not happening in front of the customer was one thing.
So you created your own operating room in essence.
Absolutely.
Just like in
so
the van, right?
Yeah. So the van had a close. So the van would basically drive to the customer's address, park somewhere outside, the house, maybe in the street, and the technician would take the laptop, or that's how it was designed, right? And go to this section, which was where he had a proper work stool, right?
He had his surface that he needed, right?
Yeah. Access to all the tools that he needed, right? And the privacy that he needed to really go, to do his job to the best of his ability. And what do we do with the customers while they wait, right? They would still be anxious because there's something happening behind closed doors. And that's when we thought, why not engage them in a game while they waited? So there was a section of the van that actually had like a small gaming unit, right, which was designed to look like a small gaming room, right, where they could go really experience the HP product, the laptop that is there, play a game that they liked. And they also had like a small display of, accessories that you would use for gaming, like the gaming mouse and the headset. So opportunity for us to cross-sell and upsell there, to look at, hey, have you checked out this gear that goes with your, your gaming setup? And how can you, are you interested? And, you get to touch, feel, and look at some of these accessories that were there. Or you can just spend your time, which means you're distracted. You're not thinking about the laptop that's getting fixed, right? And kind of like really helps reduce your anxiousness. And it's kind of like a win-win, right? So the technician does his job and the customer's just engaged in a fun way, right? And small things, but I think if you look at it from a customer experience standpoint, things that could really make a big difference, because that once that anxiousness is taken out, I think everything else that follows really is not amplifying that dissatisfaction that the product is having a downtime.
Right. Several interesting things there. Obviously this serves the technician well. He can do his job, do her job without interruption, or just knowing that nobody's looking over their shoulder. But at the same time, the customer gets to geek out on some other equipment and try some new features and such that is just playing to exactly their persona, that they like to explore those things. They like to play games and so forth.
That is right.
So I'm curious, Jaya, when someone needs service, how do they reach out to be able to receive the kind of service that you're providing? And then with this new experience, how did it go?
I'll also add to one other thing that we thought really helped us with this whole project. Is sometimes not being able to communicate, or not that awareness with our customers in terms of what are the different options that they have, right, in terms of reaching out to a company for support, right? How do I have different phone numbers? Is there like a WhatsApp support? Whatever different things that we decide, right? Now, most often when your system stops working, you get into panic mode, right? And you don't have that information that you need in terms of, okay, how do I reach out to get the support that I need? Now, what also happened with us with this van is we had the opportunity to really look at putting a branding around the van, which was not only about the branding about our, the PC that we were supporting, but also how we ensured that they stayed up and running, right? So there was some cool stuff that we could do in terms of branding the support itself, saying that, hey, we help you maintain your A game, right, with no downtime. And I think this is important because, especially from a support standpoint, it's important for both internal stakeholders to articulate how we support our customers in the unfortunate event of, their PC is not working. But it's also important for us to educate our end customers so that they know how easy it is for them to reach out to us in the unfortunate event that their laptop or something is not working. So I think that gives them a lot of confidence to know that, hey, it's so easy to reach out to you. And it's just so cool that you come on a van to support us, right? So I think it was like a third thing that really helped us to create that whole awareness with the customers as well. So this van that we've piloted it in 2 cities in India, right?
Okay.
And we also, it's been quite a hit, and you will, and I'll tell you why, because every time there is an event with one of our partners, they ask us, hey, can you send us the support van? Because we're going to have a gaming event and we'd like to show, how HP supports this. And we've had a few gamers and influencers who kind of visited the van and, shared feedback about it as well. So I think all in all, we feel good about, being able to address some of these challenges that we had. And of course, look at how do we keep improving that experience, right? So of course, there could be some operational things, that you have to consider, right? In terms of, okay, how do we go serve? How do we figure out where do you go? But I think overall, if you look at how it turned out, and if anybody's in India and you ever see the van on the road, please feel free to stop it and look, take a peek inside, because it kind of like really creates a different environment for customers.
Yeah. And you said it sounds like it has kind of sparked other ideas as well. Is that I would think this kind of creative process, and once you implement this, there tends to be kind of an add-on effect of, what else we could do? We could try this. Have you had some of that too?
Yes, a lot of things. Not specifically on the van and gaming. I mean, we're still looking at how do we, every day we go in and look at, okay, how do we elevate this and take this up a notch? But it also helped us to really look at developing a framework, and that's one of the big outcomes of this as well. How do you approach building and delivering a differentiated experience from a support perspective, right? So this journey that we went through, right? How did we start looking at the market research and, benchmarking, looking at the internal processes, right? And then getting back on the table and understanding what our customers really need and want, and how do we create that journey for them? And then not stopping there, but then talking about how do we then go out and talk about this, both internally and externally. So there was a framework that we developed, and we called it the 360-degree, CX 360-degree framework. It's just a guidance for us in terms of how do you approach such projects in the future, right? It could be, it's gaming today, it could be something else tomorrow, but it really gives us a holistic approach, and, and just to ensure that what are the different things that we look at, and what we should be looking at, right, when we address such projects. Yeah.
Well, that's a wonderful summary, because you did go through, what seems to be a very deliberate process to making all of this work, and to come up with a wonderful creative solution that I can see how it would be, a differentiated experience that you were striving for. Obviously you had a number of people involved, so there was kind of a cross-functional nature to collaborating and pulling all of this together. How did that work?
Right. So Pat, I think they say CX is a team sport, right? Like
Indeed.
with everything.
Indeed,
And
it is.
and I don't think there is just, as a single person that or a department that you can achieve, especially when it comes to CX, you really need the investment from, I think, so many different functions, right? So I think for this one particularly, we needed to, while we conceptualized and designed and decided or what the ideal journey for the customer should be, there were so many different departments that helped us to ensure that this comes from paper, so to say, to actual, to the actual van itself. And also there were departments that spoke about, okay, now we have it, how do we operationalize it? So that's important, right? Because it's great, the concept is great, but how do we ensure that the customers use it the way it is intended to be used, right? And we really get them to get the value. Then there are people who keep us, to ensure that we're sticking to the budget, right? There was the team from the finance, for example, that always was involved in decisions to talk about, okay, how do we ensure that, we stay within the budget, that we ensure that we're doing an efficient way to make this happen. And of course, there were people from different backgrounds, like the product category teams who are then looking at how do we incorporate this as a narrative while we sell, right? And then we have the marketing team who would also be involved in looking at how do we use this as an opportunity to create that awareness. So, and also within the support itself, right, there are so many different sections, right? You had the call center where the customer would reach. Then you had people who were talking about distributing of, let's say, a spare part that might be required. And then you have this big chunk of people that run the actual, what we call the field operations, right? Who are talking, who are one of our stakeholders as well, right? In terms of, okay, how do we train our technicians in terms of how do they utilize this van, right? And the inputs that they provided. So all in all, I think there were a lot of people involved. And I think that's what made it quite successful, because end of the day, you want everybody to feel like it is their solution, right? And it's change. And it's something that, we're changing for the better. And we're going to do it in a way that it is sustainable and that we see the benefits both from a customer as well as the internal stakeholder perspective as well. So yeah, a team sport.
Yeah, it sounds like the team was orchestrated beautifully. So just a terrific story, and we appreciate you sharing it with us today. But we're at that point of the broadcast where we ask every guest for one tip, our take-home value, one tip that ideally people can think about and say, well, that's something I could start tomorrow. So Jaya, what's your tip?
Sure. So for me, and this is something that, I heard long back when I was interviewing for a role, right? I mean, it could be a CX transformation or any transformation that you do, or a business transformation, or, any project or program. End of the day, what we're really doing is change from where we are to where we want to be. And it involves a lot of people who are mostly resistant to change. So end of the day, it's about how do we take the people along, right? And ensure that they embrace the change. So the change, remains sustainable, and we really be able to take all the benefits out of, the reason why we're doing the change. So for me as a CX professional, I also invested some time in learning about change management. And it has been so handy because they have so many great techniques and frameworks that makes you think about how are we taking those people along and how can we make this transformation successful. So the one advice at this point in time that I would have is look at some complementary skills that really comes in handy for customer experience professions. One of them is absolutely change management. The other thing would be design thinking. So those are the two things that I would say, you can start looking at. Yeah.
Two very important things. And again, it is about change. That's a big part of our job. And we have to influence change and bring people along. So it all makes sense. Jaya Sudarshan is Customer Experience Manager for HP. Jaya, thank you for being on the CX Leader podcast.
Thank you, Pat. I really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you for having me.
We enjoyed it as well. And sometimes our listeners like to reach out and continue the conversation. Would that be okay? Can they find you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Please find me on LinkedIn and drop me a note. I'd be happy to connect.
Wonderful. And if you want to talk about anything you heard on this podcast or how Walker can help your business's customer experience, email us at podcast@walkerinfo.com. Remember to give the CX Leader podcast a rating through your podcast service and give us a review. Your feedback will help us improve the show and deliver the best possible value to you, our listeners. Check out our website, cxleaderpodcast.com, to subscribe to the show and find all our previous episodes, podcast series, and a link to our blog, which we update regularly. The CX Leader Podcast is a production of Walker. We're an experience management firm that helps companies accelerate their XM success, and you can read more about us at walkerinfo.com. Thank you for listening, and remember, it's a great time to be a CX leader. We'll see you next time.